Hi guys, welcome back to Practically Creative. Today we're going to make this cute block and I'm calling it a flower power block. It looks like a flower basket, but I've done it a bit differently than any pattern that I've seen. So let's go down here to the cutting table and I'm going to show you how I make it. The first thing we want to do is we want to cut 2 pieces of fabric. We need an 8.5-inch piece of fabric for our half square triangles. And I'm going to turn it over here. You can crease it both directions, and I'm going to use my iron to put this on here. And we're going to make a magic half square triangle. That's for the 8.5-inch fabric. And now for the 6-inch piece of fabric, I'm just going to fold it in half diagonally. May not be exactly square, but it's close enough. I'm going to fold it in half diagonally. And then I'm going to iron that in half diagonally. And then we have a matching piece of background fabric for each of these. I'm going to put this one on here. There's my fold. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch down the side of that diagonal line. And my piece of background fabric. I'm going to lay my 8.5-inch piece of colored fabric on top of here. I'm going to pin this together because it's a fairly large piece of fabric. I don't want anything to wander around. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on either side of my creases. So I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, and now that we have sewn all of our lines, I'm going to take these pins out of here. We're going to take our ruler and our rotary cutter, and we are going to cut on the creases. Now, if you need the visual, and a lot of us do, you can draw these lines in, and that's the classic way to make magic half square triangles. But I'm going to go ahead and, oops, drop the rotary cutter. But I'm going to go ahead and do mine this way. And I am turning my stuff. Be a great place for a rotating cutting mat. I have one, but it's in the other room. And I want to get this made for you today. Okay, so now that you have cut that diagonally along those crease lines, we're going to come back in here, make sure everything stays together. And I'm going to cut across my seams in half, both horizontally and vertically. You can see I'm lining up where those seams meet. And now I have 8 half square triangles. And I'm going to square these half square triangles down to 3¼ inches each. And I did make my block a little bigger than I needed. I would rather square these down than have them come out too small. So the way I do this is I'm going to take my ruler here. I have a piece of tape on it at the 45-degree mark because there isn't one on this particular ruler. And I'm going to put my marks at 3¼ inch. Keeping this tape lined up along that angle on my block. Then I'm just going to come back in and make sure it's absolutely square. Basically, that just means I'm cutting off my little dog ears. So I have a 3¼ inch square, and I need 8 of those. So I'm going to do that one more time on camera, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. So I'm just finger pressing my half square triangle over that way, making sure that everything is lined up. And make sure that it's accurate. And all I've got to take off is that dog ear. So that's 2 of them. I'm going to do the rest, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got all of our 3¼ inch squares squared up. The only thing left to do is to cut this. And this is our corner piece. And it needs to be 5½ inches square. We made 2, we only need 1. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to square it up using my ruler. Turn it around. Okay. So that's done. Now we're going to lay it out. It goes just like this. One, two, and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll put a picture in of the layout so you can see it. Okay, so I'll put a picture out at the sewing machine. We're going to sew this up, and it's going to be really simple. We're going to take the top 3, bring them over in front of the sewing machine, and we're going to sew these 3 together. You want your colored part of your block, the pretty fabric, to be going down to the right. And you're going to sew 3 together. I'm just finger pressing mine open, or to one side. I'm not pressing my seams open. Then you take the next three and you're going to sew them together. I have a 1/4 inch foot on my Juki. Finger press it open, and I'm going to put it back over in my block where it goes. Then I'm going to bring the top row down to the second row, and I'm going to match my seams where my blocks meet. Not as worried about the beginning of the block as I am about those little seams, because that's where my points are. That'll form my flowers. I sew to the first one, and I'm going to stop, and then I'll line the next two up right there. Still the 1/4 inch seam. Make sure my end is still matching. Now that I've gotten all the way to the end, I'm going to finger press. I'm going to press the seam underneath up towards the top. The next piece that goes on here is this blue that's over at the right. The blue is my background color. So I'm going to line it up over here. Start stitching, make sure that bottom corner matches. Ordinarily, we press everything to the dark, but with this, I'm going to press it to the light, because otherwise I'm going to have to fight with that seam. I've still got part of the block to do. I've got these two that need to be matched together, so I'm going to sew them. And this block is super fast. I was making a flower block and I messed it up. I made it again, I messed it up again, and I said, okay, so now it's a design choice. All right, so now we've got those two blocks put together. I'm going to bring in the other bottom piece, the other blue that goes on this block, and we're going to sew it. Once I start it, then I'm going to line everything up so it matches. So finger press it. Now I want to make sure that I turn this right back up so that this block is going the same direction as the other ones. And then I'm going to bring the big piece, the big HST over here, and I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm going to sew them together. Finger press one more time. And now I have my two halves of my block. Got the top half and the bottom half. And I'm going to bring them together. And this is a spot where if you want, you can put pins. I'm not going to. But that is a personal preference. I feel like I get them matched up better if I use my fingers. So I'm going to put corner together in that first intersection. And I'm going to start sewing. So again, making sure that the intersection is matched. Then I'm going to match the second one. And finger press again. There is our flower basket block. I'm going to iron it, and I am making a total of 30 blocks for a quilt. I think they're coming together quite nicely. You can use any colors you want, and I did figure out the fabric requirements for a full quilt for 30 blocks, but I'm just going to draw up a pattern for one at a time, and you can make as many as you like or none, but you can make them so that you have them for your own use. I have a couple of more here. Another one in the same orange with a different color basket. And then I have a red and white polka dot one. And all this takes is an 8.5-inch piece of whatever color you would like your flowers to be. So this is a great scrap buster project for you. All right. Thank you for watching. You guys have a great day.